Hey everybody, my name is Michael. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pop my camera on here just so you can see that it is in fact me. Shield your eyes. Hey, this is my Ryobi shirt. I got this at a Lowe's Home Depot actually. During Ryobi days, I walked up to the manufacturer's representative and I told him, I know more than you, when he tried to explain how good the tools were. And he said, I'm going to give you this shirt as a result. So I got a free shirt for being obnoxious at Ryobi. And I say Ryobi, potato. But I'm here today. I'm the founder of Back to the Future Trading. We've been in business for over 15 years now, I think, serving the futures, equities, options, Forex, and now cryptocurrency trading communities. And it's an honor to be here today. My background is a mechanical engineer. I'm a patented designer with about almost 20 years experience in machine design. And about 15 years ago, I got the bug like most of you and said, how hard can this trading stuff be? Followed by, oh, look, all of these nice people online who want to help me. Followed by, how are not all of these nice people in jail? It is criminal what some of these companies and some of these gurus, and now there's a whole generation of influencers. There's a new word for it, Earl. They're not gurus, they're influencers. People who have well-oiled social media campaigns and perfect little 30-second blurbs that make it look so easy. Ian, it's so easy. If you just click on my link in the bio, everyone's got a bio. Hope you all have bios out there today. Apparently, they're very important. So I put my engineering brain to work together with my partner and best friend, Ronald Gardner. Many of you know Ron. And we've put together some pretty compelling evidence that markets are in fact predictable. They're not governed by lagging indicators or guru instincts. They're actually governed by time. And so for the last 15 years, with a near perfect Trustpilot score now, almost 5 out of 5 with anyone who leaves a review with us, we built something pretty incredible. And I want to show you a new feature. There's a new update that just released out if you have the most current version of the software, which can be found in the Customer Resource Center. You're going to see something pretty amazing today, and hopefully learn a little bit more about how time works. But to prove to you that the software does work, we do something really interesting. For those of you who've taken the video demo on our website, you get access to these predictions. What is the market likely to do at these times in the future? And we publish these times and directions up and down, X o'clock, Y o'clock, on Tuesday in advance of Wednesday and Thursday's markets. Crazy, right? Our belief is that markets are rigged. Imagine that. We hear a lot about rigging in the last 4 years. True or otherwise, the word rigged has been used probably too many times to count. But in the case of markets, we don't have to look too far to see evidence of it. In fact, 3 JP Morgan traders were actually given prison sentences for rigging gold futures. And they paid nearly $1 billion in fines. We have evidence. There was a trial. There were convictions. fees were levied. That one is a settled dispute. And so today we're here to see, are banks still rigging markets at key times in the future? And again, we give you the times in advance, and then we come back together and see, did they work or did they not work? And one of the reasons why traders don't believe this is real, number one, it's really hard to prove in a world where you have someone's attention for 30 seconds. YouTube videos used to be an hour. Then they had a 15-minute max if you took the classes online and they told you how long to make your video. 15 minutes was the max, and now it's down to 1. I make 10 videos a week for our social media channel, and Earl, if it's 1 minute and 1 second, YouTube penalizes me and puts it in a different category. We live in a TikTok time span now, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and that's it. So when we look at time, a little more thought goes into it. And you'll see here when we're finished that we're rewarded when we do that, because patterns exist in the data. If you look across thousands of historical data bars, you'll see that banks are doing certain things at certain times lately, repeating patterns. How many of you believe that's true? Quick show of hands. Y for yes, N for no. How many of you believe banks still rig markets and they wait for the right time to trip out the stops? Fake runs to the top or the bottom. Anybody? Can I get an amen? Amen, amen, amen. And so without further ado, I want to spend some time in the charts and take a look at some stuff that I think is interesting. Some ways that we can sort of know with certainty that markets are predictable. Can you guys see my chart right here? There should be a bunch of red and green dots, a moving average in the beginning. Just to confirm that before I go too far. This is not the software, but it's one of the first things that we started to research where stuff made sense. What tends to happen near the red dots of this market? This is gold futures, by the way. Would you say the price of gold goes down, goes up, or stays the same for the most part? Quick show of hands. I'll wait for someone to answer. When we get to it, goes down. When we go to a green dot, what tends to happen? It either stops falling and goes sideways for a while or tends to go up. Well, here's a fun fact. This is based on the lunar apogee and perigee. What does that mean? It means that when the moon is closest to us, there's a specific day that happens. When the moon is farthest from us in its elliptical orbit, egg-shaped orbit, that's a specific day. And we actually know those days for the next 1,000 years. And so, Eric, isn't it kind of neat to see we have a prediction? The next red dot, for example, is coming in 11 days, 7 hours, and 43 minutes. Isn't it kind of neat that we know when the next signals are coming? It's sort of bananas. Forgive me. And so I devised a little trading system, probably too simple, but some of you, if you're up for it, I wanted to show you. When we have a perigee event, Earl, we wait for the first selling bar after the selling signal. We know when it's coming. I know when the next 3 signals are coming to the second. That's how precise the universe we live in is. Mathematically controlled, according to infamous trader William Delbert Gann. And then, Earl, when we get to the apogee, check this out. I wait for the first high close day, the green. First time there's a bull day, buy there. Next perigee, wait for the selling day to sell, you can use options, of course. And then over here, similarly, wait for the first green day, the first red day, the first green day. Up here in gold, the last sell signal was the close at 2005 on October 30th. And now we've been waiting, and the close of today, November 9th, is the buy signal down here at 1960 area, 62, 65. But here's the bananas thing. No one talks about this. It's not mentioned on CNBC. It's not mentioned on Fox Business. No one mentions it, but we're all being told the price of gold had something to do with the Israeli war with Iran, something to do with Russia and Ukraine, Biden, the Fed, blah, 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 the housing crisis. And look, 11 days, 24 days, 38 days. That's sort of the first clue that there's something inherently predictive about markets that's based on something insane. I'm the first to admit it's based on something insane. Here's another fun fact. Similar to our apogee-perigee chart, what happens when we get near red signals? They tend to go down. These are lunar phases. I get in trouble. People tell me don't mention these in the webinar internal to my staff. They say it confuses people. But I want to show you, I have the dates for the rest of the year. I know when they're coming to the second. I know the lunar phase dates and times for the next 1,000 years in the future. And fun fact, what happens when we get to a full moon in the ES? Well, what does the price of the E-mini S&P tend to do? Tends to go up, unless it's a pattern 5, and we'll go over that in a minute. What tends to happen near the new moons? Tends to go down. Well, that's kind of crazy. Well, I don't believe in that. You don't have to believe it. You just have to see it. Look at it. I know when the next large red dot is coming in 4 days. 4 days from now, it's coming. Like a freight train that can't be stopped, an astronomical juggernaut. And so I've been posting in the room now and in the social media pages, the Facebook groups, hey, look what tends to happen. Look what tends to happen at the third quarter lunar phase on the E-mini S&P. And Earl, the range is sort of the same, isn't it? When we get to one of these, this is a moon half empty. I can look and see what's happening. I know what the size of the range is. And so now I can just take this box and see, hey, there's support for us down here at 43.55 until the phase 4 arrives. But that's insane too. Why? Because it's predictive, number one. I'm not looking at a moving average. I'm not looking at the RSI or the CCI or the MACD or the FBI or the YMCA. I'm not referencing the website of a former New York pit trader or some slick dude with a British or a Russian accent, no offense. I'm not looking at market orders or profiles or footprints or TPO charts or any of the nonsense any one of 1,000 people who are usually selling something will tell you is working. And it's not. When the moon big in sky, price go high. Moon dark, price go down. That's kind of nuts. Well, look what happens when we look at a market like Tesla. You want your head to really get smashed open. This is the same apogee-perigee chart we were looking at a moment ago. What tends to happen to the price of Tesla when we get near the red dots? What tends to happen to the price of Tesla when we get near the green dots? None of the signals on this chart, except the moving average, have anything to do with anything on Earth. And it's entirely predictive. And yet, I'll be told by people online why the price of Tesla is going higher or lower. Well, Michael, you got to understand. You see, they're having problems with the Cybertruck, and the stainless steel has made the vehicle very heavy, which is overpowering the motors. You add that to the battery pack, and you've got a production bottleneck. Really? How about the moon is as far away from the Earth as it can be, affecting people's psychology and physiology, creating a sense of angst. There's a sense of risk aversion now. The same way that sunlight provides vitamin D, boosts overall health, makes people feel better. Maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe there's an underlying predictability in humanity that we've forgotten in a modern Apple Watch, iPhone society. Maybe humanity as a whole is still tethered somewhat to the intricate mechanics, the seasonality of the universe we live inside of. Maybe the fish in the fishbowl has forgotten it's surrounded by water. How many of you believe that? And so investors run around screaming, yelling, hollering, looking at every which thing except the things we knew for centuries were important. The invisible weather right now isn't so good. Maybe we should get rid of some of the risk. Things are starting to feel great. I'm energized. You're energized. Let's do something together. Let's build some stuff. Let's plant some corn. Explain it. Explain it any other way. I can't. Then we get into the mechanics of more believable stuff. A lot of people have trouble with the red and green charts. They think if they listen to me for more than 10 minutes, they won't be eligible for the free muffins at church on Sunday. Listen, I heard that you were listening to a man online talking about astrology and such with the markets. You can no longer be part of our organization. No, please. It was innocent enough. He sounded smart. When we move out of astronomy into another field, another corner of time, we can deploy tools that rely on data mining, the blue and white charts. This is TachEon Warp, the program you're all interested in. And for those of you that are customers right now, this is a daily chart for NVIDIA. I have 10 years of data loaded with the standard 714 swing strength 8 settings. And so, Billy, there are no patterns on here. This is the same stuff, only the colors are different. What happens when we get to a predictive buy time with NVIDIA? What's been happening all year? Goes up. Those of you that are options traders have a huge advantage over the futures traders because you just have to guess the direction by a certain time. And so earlier today, I posted into the stocks groups on Facebook and I said, hey, fun fact, if you measure how far NVIDIA has gone at each of the buy signals, an exertion analysis, how high has NVIDIA gone in the buying windows? We can then harvest that information and bring it over to here. And Earl, check it out. This is something we're going to work on. Look where all the arrows tend to coalesce for NVIDIA. I'll draw a rectangle at the top of the zone and at the bottom of the zone. That's kind of weird that the last 4 signals all ended up in a $10 range or so. So there's a more than average chance that we will be somewhere between 500 and 514 on or before September 20th. And I don't care what the AI stocks are doing. I don't care if China has a 15 nanometer chip now. I don't care what happens at TSMC or AMD. I don't care how many kids are buying the AR goggles from Meta. It's just time. It's a cycle where investors at an institutional level are preparing to push the prices higher. And Billy, that's it. But this is based on 10 years of cycles, a program looking at the patterns and determining what is likely to happen in the future. This is SPY, by the way, with the same program looking at the daily chart, and you can see that we had a prior predicted buy date on October 23rd. Then we had the launch of the Middle Eastern War. That was fun. And now we're sort of back on track. Hamas kind of messed this one up for a little bit. And then we rose back above it. We should have been moving this way the entire time. And we'll have that buying pressure now in SPY until November 21st. How do I know that? Because I predicted, or the software rather, warned us about this date, this date, this date, this date, this date, and then this date. And so I have every confidence in the ability of this thing to probably, now that the high is tripped, come back again, test it a third time, and drop on the 21st. Let's take a look at some other charts. Euro US dollar on a daily chart. I've been posting these predictions into the Euro USD group, the Forex groups on Facebook. And the last signal was November 2nd. There's that first selling candle that I told you about with gold. And if you started selling up here, you can see we're starting to drop down in the range. The last prediction for buying was down on November 1st, right here at that little uptrend. And that's going to last now until October, or rather November 21st. And the reason I believe in these moves coming up is because of what happened at the predicted moves in the past. It's not a big stretch, right? Let's take a look at some other markets. We can take a look at oil. Oil, if we look at the lunar phases, we've heard the words demand destruction in the news lately. Billy, there's one of those scary patterns I told you about, a pattern 5 up here. And this is worth mentioning while we're here. Let's take a look. Inside of time, there are patterns that define what will happen at a certain time. So Billy, check this out. Whether it's a buying or a selling time, whether it's a lunar phase or a data mined signal like the blue and white charts, we started noticing things the more we studied time. For example, Billy, when you arrive at a buying time, if either that signal bar, the one to the left of it or the one to the right of it, are a brand new structural high, we call that a pattern 5. Forgive me, a pattern 5. Ready? I'll go through it again. Sometimes when you arrive at the buy signal, it has violated the prior swing high. It's like a super saturated, way overbought time signal. And Billy, for no reason other than the size of the moon in the sky, we had a pattern 5 in gold back at the beginning of October. What happens at pattern 5s is really interesting. The market tends to collapse. This is all part of the software. And so, Billy, a pattern 5 usually marks the absolute high of a move for the meantime. And now, when we got to the last full moon here, it held on. Billy, can you see that right here? You see how it kind of held its ground for about 4 or 5 days and then it pooped the bed? What that tells me is that oil is about to drop even more and most likely revisit the low. In fact, there was a pattern 4 back here somewhere. There it is. A pattern 4 fun fact, is the opposite of a pattern 5. When we arrive at a selling signal, and that candle, or the one to the left or the right of it, is a brand new low, there's the swing, brand new low. Billy, do you see how it tends to go up after that? It's the opposite. The polarity of the signal reverses. How many of you, when you were kids, put your tongue on a 9-volt battery because somebody dared you to? Does anyone even remember what a 9-volt battery is? I'm Gen X, the last generation to live without the internet, the last generation to live without cell phones, the last generation to live without a remote controlled television. And when we were kids, little, somebody would inevitably dare you to put a 9-volt battery on your tongue. Graham says he still does it for fun. Earl says I do it when I can't find my battery tester. Well, there are signals in time that, based on where they arrive, tend to go in the opposite direction. So we have another layer of control. There's this subset of rules, Billy, that gives us even more insight as to what the market is likely to do. And back over here on March 21st, March 20th was a brand new low. Candle number 1 was a brand new low, and it got one of those little green arrows. Well, what do pattern 4s tend to do? They tend to reverse and go up. They mark a short-term bottom. But this is all based on the lunar stuff and oil. Here's a fun fact. Pattern 4s and 5s tend to connect to each other like Siamese twins. They define a range. They tend to define a range of price. And so I believe the next level down, let's come up here. The next level down for oil is 73.90 and then back to 65, looks like 57, 51. Because the full moon didn't push price up at all, it tells me that the selling pressure is so great. This is now just a redistribution phase. You said what now? If you look at this, Earl, on the chart, using a 150-year-old analysis that still works, whenever we get to a green dot, and in my pro room, you'll hear me call this a bing bing trade, because it goes bing 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 bing, like an old pinball game caught between two bumpers. It's called a redistribution phase, and they inevitably break down into the next selling signal. And a lot of times what you can do is measure the leg that got us there into the bing bing and then project downwards from the breakout. And again, this is a predictive signal. The next red dot is going to be here in 4 days, 0 hours. And when you walk outside and look up in the starry sky, there will be no moon. That's what's happening in oil. Looking over at bonds with the blue and white stuff, something very important just happened in bonds. The trend has been up on the 60-minute chart when we use the data mining signals, the blue and white, no longer lunar. And Billy, check it out. The white signals were pushing up. The white signals were pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. And Billy, just like that full moon signal on gold, Earl, do you see the bing bing right here and then the collapse? It broke its own stop. There's a collapse in bonds right now. That signal right here from the 9th at 2 a.m. Eastern was a portent of a warning of collapse in the price of bonds. And now, as of the close today, I'm expecting it to drop lower into 2 a.m. tonight based on patterns in the data. We have a signal coming up in the future. Everything I do, guys, the times come in the future and warn me when the next moves are about to arrive. We can look at those same signals on gold on a 60-minute chart. And Earl, what does this chart tell me about gold? Well, that selling signal didn't go down anymore, Billy. At 7 a.m. this morning, we kind of found the low. But prior to that, Billy, do you see how the white stops had been taken out? We're only selling when the trend is down, right? So we're selling at 8 o'clock. We're selling at 11 o'clock. We're selling at 12 o'clock. We're selling at 10 o'clock. When I sold at 7 o'clock, stopped out. And now it seems that the buyers are in control until when? 3 a.m. tonight. 3 a.m. tonight is the next, potentially, one of these. How many of you trade this way? But Michael, what about the RSI? What about the delta in the market profile in my TPO footprint says otherwise? I'm just telling you, based on thousands of historical bars of data, the program is whispering to us through the noise that JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse, all these knuckleheads that make billions of dollars, record profits in the recessions and depressions, keep doing something at that time lately. Be ready for when it happens. Any question about any of these charts? One of my favorite ones that I've been kind of bragging about a lot in the forums is Bitcoin. I've been bragging about Bitcoin. I told people all of these signals on the chart in the cryptocurrency Facebook pages. I told people, Billy, that the price of Bitcoin was going up on October 19th and that it would slow down and bing bing on October 26th. You see the bing bing, Ian? When's the next push up? Tomorrow. What tends to happen at the white signals? The times that the program warns us, institutions, whoever, is likely to push the price of Bitcoin higher. Boy, it seems to go up for a while, doesn't it? Even a little bit at the beginning. Most of the time. Tomorrow, Friday 11th, Friday the 11th, Veterans Day, is the next signal that we're waiting for. Any questions about this? Okay, great. Let's go take a look at the software today. On the daily chart for the E-mini S&P, these are the signals that I've been following and what I'm waiting to have happen in the future. If you're a customer at home, my settings are 1230 with a swing strength of 5. This is what I've been using now for about a year. Those settings work really well on the S&P daily with 10 years of data loaded. Billy, when was the market supposed to go up last? Big white dot. Before that, what was expected to happen? When was the selling signal? October 18th. By the way, these signals never repaint, disappear, reappear. The dates that you see coming up in the future are the dates that we're waiting for. No patterns, Billy. Even for your self-described oldness and laziness. Every week you come and every week you miss more and more and more profits and probably lose more and more because you're afraid of change. I don't want to learn anything new in my life. What time is Matlock on? You got to learn something new at some point. The markets are not forgiving. Anyway, the selling signal was expected on November 6th, and now we're dropping. The next signal coming is November 14th on the daily chart for the E-mini S&P. If we take a look at the Euro US dollar on a 60-minute chart, Billy, look, no patterns. I wonder how we could trade these signals. Over here on the right-hand side, you'll notice the signals coming up. 8 a.m., 12 p.m., midnight, 6 a.m. Hardest part of trading Forex is knowing what time of the day to be awake. How many of you traded Forex in your life and inevitably had the insomnia? Alarms would go off. I used to sleep with my laptop by my bed. Almost got divorced because of it. Kept my wife up most of the night when little ding-dings went off. Oh, moving average crossed. Oh. Now I can set a little vibrating buzzer under my pillow. Bzz, bzz, bzz. 3 a.m. Place a long, go back to sleep. Does the Euro US dollar look manipulated to you, Graham? What do you think is likely to happen in the future at 8 a.m., at 12 p.m., at midnight, and 6 a.m.? Look, there's even more signals all the way out through the 15th and 16th. So another example of how we can use predictive software to tell traders, hey, all the complicated stuff that you're looking at is a distraction. You paid somebody else too much money for a useless thing. And now you're married to it. In 15 years, I've spoken to probably about 400 people a year, so 4,000 or 5,000 traders. And most of them would rather continue to use the steaming pile of horse pucky that they know doesn't work, but they paid so much money for it, they'll take it to the grave before they admit they need to change. Okay, coming over here, looking at the oil futures prices. These are the signals that were forecast for Thursday today. All the times are Eastern time. And if you go back and reference the times that the program was warning us on Tuesday, Billy, look, no patterns. On Tuesday, the program ran through this indicator for NinjaTrader, ran through thousands of lines of historical data. We gave it one task: find the times lately that markets are being pushed up and pushed down. Please tell us for Wednesday and Thursday when they're likely to be pushed up or pushed down again. I don't like being blindsided. I don't like sitting there watching every tick of the market like some blue-haired grandma at the Bellagio casino, betting it all on red. Tick, 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 ding. Sitting in front of a roulette machine. I want to know, when are the probabilities highest in my favor? Okay, Billy, now I'm going to make you sound silly. We have a customer here who doesn't have the software who says, hey, but not all of the white dot signals go up. Does somebody want to respond to that? There's a customer here who said, not all of your signals work. It's not 100%, Michael. There was a guy who had a system that was 100%. His name was Bernie Madoff. All of his white dots went up, Billy. Every single one. All of his blue dots went down. And in the end, people who were closest to him committed suicide and went to jail for the rest of their lives. So when I look at the price of oil, 2 days after we gave the forecasts to some 18,000 people, I'm inclined to go back after the fact and say, with all of the nonsense in the Middle East happening, surely, don't call me Shirley, the price of oil cannot be predicted 2 days in the future. What about Iran? What about Yemen? What about Saudi Arabia? You got the Houthis and the Sunnis and the Shiites and the Israelites and the Ammonites and the Hittites. There's all sorts of stuff going on. And Bill, look what happened at the signals, bro. What happened at the times the program warned us that the price was likely to go up or down in the future? Okay, this one's kind of sketchy. What happened 2 days later? Do you have something that's better than that? Do you have a spiritual advisor who's connecting you to JP Morgan the first, giving you advice? What do you have that's better than that? What webinars are you going to every week and thinking, that's better than the Time guy? Please, I'm open. I can change. I can be humbler. If there's something better than this, I don't know what it is. Okay, is everybody good so far? We're coming around the corner here, home stretch. I want to show you something new, the new feature of the software, if that's okay. Anyone have any questions about how this is working? You can know the times in the future that the moves are likely to occur to the second. Enter at the close of the bar, hold it till the next signal. Filter them with trend. Take only the buy dots in the moving average rising, take only the sell dots with the moving average falling. Bill, if you did that, right? If you used a little bit of risk, you'd have paid for the software. Now, in time, we've already talked about there are a couple things that happen that we can account for with software. We can do some cool stuff. Okay, so we have time signals. Let's go ahead and use a pencil and we'll increase the width a little bit. So we have time signals, and we already know sometimes, Billy, they go backwards. And so in the histogram guidebook that you have, we have the normal signals that behave normally, and then you have the 4s, the 5s, the 6s, and the 7s. And the software automatically tells us when these things are coming. Just to sort of remind you, we can right click on the program, we can take away the basic level, and now you'll see numbers. Number 1, plain Jane buy signal. Number 2, plain Jane sell signal. Number 1, plain Jane buy signal. Number 2, plain Jane sell signal. Number 1, plain Jane buy signal. And then look, Billy, number 4. Oh, it's probably going to go up from here. And look, it did. It tells us in advance when it's likely to go in the opposite direction. Most of the time, the software accounts for everything you're going to see using basic time and those patterns. It'll tell you when you get to that time, which one of these knucklehead patterns are we seeing? Is it likely to go up or down? And it'll tell you that when you arrive there, like a private advisor. There's a recently discovered phenomenon called reverse polarity. It's a artifact from our most expensive course called Force, something that I uncovered about 3 or 4 years ago, but it's trickled down into Warp, and I wanted to show you guys. The cycles that occur in time are oscillating, and you'll notice we go from selling signals, Earl, to buying signals, right? It goes from selling to buying, red to green, full moon, new moon, full moon, new moon, blue dot, white dot, blue dot, white dot. That's based on something called the law of oscillation, All nature does this. Ancient cultures knew this. Yin, yang, a time for war, a time for peace, a time for planting, a time for harvest. Ancient cultures understood the law of oscillation. Well, markets kind of follow this cycle. Red, green, blue, white, blue, white. You can't have red, 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 green, 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 red, red, green, green, red, green, red, green. It's impossible. Nature doesn't work that way. Thank you, Larry. Well, here's a cool thing. Every once in a while in the markets, Larry, we jump the tracks to an invisible equal but opposite cycle. All of the signals begin to reverse polarity. It almost always happens near major trend reversals. And so what happens is all of the red signals behave like green signals. All of the green signals behave like red signals. Everything flips and it goes upside down, like that TV show on Netflix, The Upside Down. Anybody watch that? Stranger Things on Netflix? Pretty good show. Well, how do we determine if that's happening? The software can do it now with a new feature that we've just added. It gets even more intelligent. The more we use it, the more features we can roll out to you. Larry, check it out. If I have a buy signal and the price closes here on that buy signal, the program is now watching to see, did you finish higher than you started? And if it's trickling down this way, and Larry, let's say it finishes right here, right? That's the closing price. The program goes, oh, you're probably on the opposite cycle. And it will warn you when you get to the new cycle. What does that look like? Well, it looks like this. When we got the program this morning, you'll see a new feature called Rev Poll, R-E-V, Radio Echo Victor Papa Oscar Lima, Rev Poll. In the program, you'll see something here where it says reverse polarity. I'm using my rule, Rule 2, last signal opposite close. The signal goes lower instead of higher. Billy, look, it got even easier for someone as old and lazy as you. Your words, not mine. And what the program noticed on the E-mini S&P today is this. Larry, at 6:15, we finished lower than we started. Ken, check it out. When we finished lower than we started, the program started going, wait a minute. That smells like the polarity's reversing. And it warned me at 6:35 with a little white arrow pointing up. Check out how cool time is. You ever watch a nature show with like David Attenborough and you see something where you just go, man, that is so cool the way that works. Fantastic. Well, in time, it's the same way. Time is a naturally occurring substance, right? Space and time. So, Billy, it warned me that the price was probably going up at 6:35. And look what it did. It then warned me when we finished higher, Larry, that the 805 signal was probably going down opposite until 1020. So the original cycle versus what's really happening. So down from 805 until 1020. And guess what? Ding, Rev Poll. If you were in my pro room today, we bought this. and we took it up for 8 points when we saw it. When we saw the market consolidate there, we just had a really cool support level. We bought it and it went up $8, $9. I think we locked in 8. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's on the recording if you want it. Just let me know. So instead of going this way, Billy, it went this way. Can everybody see the functionality in relation to what's happening on this chart? When you stare at the signals like I have for 15 years, you start to notice stuff. You become a specialist. But if you're good, if you're really good, you can train other people to see what you see and make money with it when it happens. And I think I can do that. I think I've done it. Well, if that was the case, when we got to the 1145 signal, Ken, what were we expecting? The opposite until 105. And that's what happened. It went down at 1145 until when? 105. What were we expecting at 105? The opposite until when? 135. Bing! What were we expecting at 135? The opposite until when? 230. And that's when it came back. That's when it jumped the tracks because this one failed. It was supposed to go up and it didn't. Okay. And now we're on the right track. Sell, buy, sell, and the signals are coming in the future. So there's a new feature when we tell you guys you get free updates for life. This is built into the program now. And I've been using it in my pro room. I don't think there's any bugs. If you own the program, do you have to reload a new version? Yes. It'll load on top of the old one, Larry. So the rev poll is here to give us one additional layer of what's it gonna do? We've encoded 15 years of observations into a 6-letter word that helps us understand what markets are likely to do next. So we made a pretty penny today in the E-mini S&P using that very signal. And you don't need that. For example, if you looked at the price of Bitcoin on a 5-minute chart using our 5-minute signals from the test times that we gave you, it's over here somewhere. You guys saw it. This is what happened in Bitcoin. If you don't want to look at the more advanced stuff, just look at the plain Jane vanilla chocolate signals, Bill. I've been picking on you, but I only pick on people that I love. And I honestly believe this is going to work for you because of what? Because everyone else who's bought the software before you that left a review has had a very similar experience to the guy before them. Every single person who had the software before you, who bought it at a webinar, had a very particular experience. And so I don't think you're any more or less intelligent, more or less talented than those people. I think you can do it. I believe in you. We can look at other markets too, like the mini Dow. You're going to see the same thing, massive, rampant market manipulation. Look at the times where the software warned us on Tuesday that the mini Dow was likely to go up or down in the future on Thursday. Look at the times the software told us banks would probably step in, stop the decline, and push prices higher again. Look at it. Why would you futz around with lagging tools? And I like to use a 33 tick bar, a 55,000 Renko bar with the volume hybrid and an Ichimoku Nagasaki cloud. And I got a dog here, and when he waves his tail to the left, I'm pretty sure market's going to go down. The stuff I've seen on the charts that you guys have shown me before you got your software gives me a migraine. Oh, how can you look at that all day? It's insanity. It's 157. The Dow's going to drop. Probably. Let me use a little bit of risk to see. It's 1021. The bottom is coming in. Let me see if it builds support and try to get in long until 1106. Oh, it's too hard. I'm old. I'm lazy. I can't think. Who am I? What's my name? It's not that hard, dude. And then the worst markets of all, like the NASDAQ, look how manipulated those markets are. It's ridiculous. The NASDAQ for me is the most fun to trade. One or two signals and you're done for the day. You're done for the day. In the end, it really comes down to this question. What do you believe? Do you believe markets are random, reacting to everything as it occurs in real time, and we all have the same information and we come to the same conclusion together eventually? Or do the servers underneath JP Morgan have a 4-foot wide fiber optic cable to the exchange with black box algorithms designed to manipulate markets in a way that no one ever gets caught, no one ever goes to jail, and worst case, they pay a fine with the money you gave them from your account? Which one of those sounds more feasible to you? Would you use a lagging indicator to fight that fire, or a predictive indicator based on the times these guys do what they do? All of you have an assumption. Bill, you have a huge assumption. And it's well formed but misguided. You see things a certain way and you can't shake the idea when you're this close to a successful opportunity that it can't possibly work, week after week after week, showing you that it does. The guy who first figured this out is right there. They hated him. The man who interviewed him was named Richard Wyckoff, this guy. He was the editor of Ticker and Investment Digest. Back in 1909, he interviewed Gann, who was using times and blowing people's minds. William Gilley, inspector of imports, somebody everybody knew down on the floor. He said, nobody can compound money faster than Gann. Of the 16 predictions he made, 8 of them were the exact high or low of the day. And in the same article, Wyckoff said, the guy who introduces a new idea which violates the traditions of markets is usually hated by traders because he requires thought and research. The said majority of traders hate thinking and researching. This is 100 years ago, 150 years ago. And Dude Man was telling people how it worked. He was showing them, look, here's what I'm doing. These are the times for today. Nah, won't work. And he goes down in history as one of the most successful traders around. We are the only company on earth, so far as I've been able to discern, that gives you the software. We're going to teach you how to trade with it. I have workspaces and templates if you want them. You have training on the website, hundreds of hours from beginning introductory videos to advanced lessons. You're going to get a discount here in a second and an opportunity to purchase based on truth. Nothing I did today had anything to do with my opinion. There's no guru vibe to this. You all had access to the same information. The program told us what times to watch. I gave them to you in the future. We came back 2 days later. It either works or it didn't. And no one here is telling me how silly it worked. It worked. I showed you full moon and new moon dates and perigee and apogee dates and gave you the pattern book for free. You can go back and validate on your own in relation to Tesla, in relation to oil prices and gold, and see for yourself without any kind of wishy-washy guru explanations that this works. The markets are predictive. And every well-oiled marketing machine from here to Kansas and back is trying to convince you otherwise. Every television program, every TV show, every news network, I believe bought and paid for by the big black rocks of the world, wants you to forget what ancient cultures and not so ancient cultures knew about how humanity works. Up and down, pattern fours, pattern fives. I now know when the next market crash is coming. I know when the next world war is coming. Why can't I find? Oh, I'll find it. Using the software, using the techniques, I know when the next recession is. I know when America will be involved in a European Middle Eastern war again, using this technique. Very little to any thought. I'm sharing that and have shared that with the customers in the Skype groups. Anyway, this is what I believe right there as we wrap up. Every day you wake up without us, you're the goalie down here at the bottom, and you're trying to get up that hill. The odds of success are 95% chance of failure. Very few people ever make it through the crucible, the institutional gauntlet. They just can't do it. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough money. Those around you are not willing to wait forever. Your wife will eventually shut things down. Your husband will eventually call you out. Your boss, your friends, your family will say, enough. You're done. The kid's inheritance is gone. The mortgage payment is gone. I won't let you do this anymore. You're running out of time if you haven't already. The program we're talking about is called TachEon Warp. When you go to our website, backtothefuturetrading.com, you'll go to our product store, and the program that everyone starts out with is right here, TachEon Warp. This is the program I've been using for almost everything I've shown you, the blue and white dots, the blue and white lines. When you click on that link and go all the way to the bottom of the page, there is a giant orange Willy Wonka wrapper. Click it. You have a choice. If you get the software, we offer you a 25% off code discount to participate in our live trading room. One of our customers who trades with live accounts walks people through the markets Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every week from 8 to 12. His name is Colin. He's a pretty cool guy. One of our first customers, by the way. If you like that sort of thing and want to see entries and exits and have your hand held for a little while, great opportunity. If you don't need that, you're a lone wolf, go to the checkout without that. This is our purchase agreement. Please read it. It's there. When you click it, we know you clicked it. So you can't say later on, I had no idea that was in the purchase agreement. In fact, you actually have to agree to the terms and conditions. So if you don't agree to them, don't click the button, don't buy the software. There is a place to put a promo code, WARPOFF. When you hit apply, it's going to take $500 off. Let me type it again, ARP, warp off, WARPOFF, Oscar Frank, no spaces, no capital letters, one word. Your English teacher would be really mad at me right now. Those of you with PayPal accounts, you can use the pay later option where it'll split it up over 6 months, or have it where you don't have to pay anything for half a year. You can also use your regular credit card and hit checkout if you want. Those of you that are fancy and you want to do wire transfers, we can also do that. You just got to let me or Dave know. This comes as a lifetime license, 2 computer licenses, laptop, desktop, whatever you want to do. Give one of your licenses to your wife or your uncle. 2 people can trade. You just have to split your licenses. This is an indicator for NinjaTrader, NinjaTrader 8. NinjaTrader can connect to Rhythmic, Continuum, TD Ameritrade data, to what's the other one? Interactive Brokers data, Forex.com data. If you have an Apex account, our customers are killing it, qualifying for Apex accounts. And if you use one of their 80–90% off codes, you can get data for NinjaTrader for like $15 a month and use our software. So there's a whole slew of ways to get started with this program. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. Anybody have any questions about what's involved, how to get started, and what we saw here this afternoon? In addition to today's lesson, you'll also be contacted, if you don't have the software, by someone named David. David is the phone number that Billy sees and instantly hits do not answer on his phone. Dave works with us. He's a great guy. He wants to help you get on board and answer all your questions and let you know what's involved. So if you get an email from him or a phone call, he may even want to meet with you to answer some questions. He's got the software on his computer. He can show you some stuff. Please reach out and respond to him. He's a really great resource. Those of you who have met him, you know. If you know, you know. The volatility is here. The markets are moving. 8 points, 10 points, 15 points on markets like the E-mini S&P and the NASDAQ. One trade, you get in at the low. That's a $1,000 move. If you are a customer and you want the most updated version of the software, simply log into the Customer Resource Center with your username and password and go to the Software tab, and it'll give you the most recent release that you can download to your computer. Bingo bango, you're set up and ready to go. Just remember one thing. The signals for tomorrow are already here. Here's the European session tonight. Here's the Asian session and the Euro session tomorrow. It does not matter. We will always know what times in the future the markets are likely to move. I can see the whole day for tomorrow on the E-mini S&P 5-minute chart. It's right there. I don't have to worry. I don't have to prepare. I don't have to watch charts. I don't have to read news bulletins. I don't care what the unemployment rate is. I know there's a guy in a mahogany office who buys his wife a new Lexus every Christmas when that annoying commercial comes on. And when you're sitting there saying, who buys your spouse a new Lexus every Christmas? The guy at JP Morgan who takes your money every time you place a trade and fail. He knows these times tomorrow. I have too many customers who've worked at too many banks telling me this is exactly what they do to believe anything otherwise. So you have a choice. Tomorrow you can trade with us, you can trade without those times. I can't help you if you don't want the help. Those of you that are customers, remember you have opportunities for ongoing education. There's training and mentoring sessions available in the Customer Resource Center. You also have the Skype community. You can come in there and join with other traders in our Skype group. There's over 150 active traders in there, I believe, sharing ideas and charts and setups with each other. And remember that I love you. I really, truly do. You're a family to me. You've been with us for the bulk of 15 years, some of you almost every day of that. And your support is greatly appreciated. We have helped so many people achieve their hopes and dreams. So many people have quit their jobs. They're taking care of family members, paying off bills, going on trips, supporting their charities of choice. And some of you in the elder season of life, you've said this program helps keep your brain sharp.
You're learning new things. You feel like you're younger as opposed to older, watching people around you sort of lose their faculties. This type of a program, learning how to use these types of things, keeps you active, keeps you engaged. Learning is a good thing. I think if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's not an option for me. I want to always get better. I want to always transfer that knowledge to you. And I want to see those 4- and 5-star reviews pour in. One day at a funeral, I would love to think that room was packed with people who said, I couldn't qualify for my funded account, and then I could. I couldn't pay my bills, and then I did. I sucked at the euro, and then I didn't. And these guys had a big hand in that. That's my hope as we move forward. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine upon your handsome, beautiful faces. May the mountains of adversity lay low before you. May the valleys rise up to meet you on your way. I wish you peace, prosperity, hope, fellowship, long life. I wish you calmness in the storm. Do not be troubled. These things have happened, will continue to happen, have always happened, will always happen. The goal is to leverage these moments, leverage these times to pull profit from them for you and yours, to take care of them. That's my goal and hope for you this year. Talk to you guys soon. Welcome to those of you coming on board. If you have any questions, you can email me, Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Michael Motorcycle at backtothefuturetrading.com. My phone number's on the website, or just respond to Dave's email or phone call and he'll get you squared up and settled. And Billy, stop coming here. Honestly, if this isn't for you, let's just both admit it. When you come here and you don't buy anything, or you keep seeing these miracles one after the other, it makes me sad. And so I would ask, please stop coming here each week. You're addicted to webinars, and I don't want to enable that. So my father, who had a saying, he was a crude man, but he was wise. He used to say, poop or get off the pot. And if I see you in the webinar next week, I'm going to toss you out of here for your own good. A little tough love. So don't take it the wrong way. It's not from a place of anger or disappointment. It's just, I want better for you. And you're stuck in a cycle. I got to pop you out. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Those of you trading, Veterans Day tomorrow. We'll see you bright and early Monday, Tuesday in my live trading room. If you want to join my trading room, I meet Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every week. Ask me, Dave, or Rachel about it. We've had 3 successful daily goals hit now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'd like you to join me there. If you want more information, let me know too. Take care, everybody. Dorian, what's up? Earl, you know I love you. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night. Bye-bye.